Hey everyone, Cooper here, host of the fine podcast you're listening to. I just want to let you know that the episode you clicked on has a format that is very heavily inspired by a podcast called The Bookening. To be clear, our thoughts and opinions in this episode are our own, but the format is very similar to this podcast. I just wanted to give you a heads up and give credit where it is due. With that out of the way, enjoy the show. Coming up next, Booking It finishes their discussion on The Fellowship of the Ring. Hey everybody, welcome back to Booking It. I am your humble and eloquent host, Cooper Cobbs, and joining me today is my companion, Matthew Killingsworth. How you doing, Matthew?
Howdy.
Yeah, so we set out from Rivendell, all four of us, and then we lost a couple in Moria.
Yeah.
So it's just
To
Isaiah and Tanner. They
the
fell.
giant spiders and the elves.
That
one of
was
them
the
got-
Hobbit, Matthew.
Oh.
Yeah, the Balrog is Moria.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna just warn everyone. I cannot pronounce like anyone's names or the name of any creature in this book because I read it and I'm like, I can't even remember like what it is because it's so complicated.
Yeah, it's a lot to remember.
Like, how do you remember every single animal's name? They're all like really weird names that
I don't know,
Tolkien
you
just
ask
made
Tanner.
up on the spot.
Actually, Matthew, no, he didn't make up on the spot. If there's anything about Tolkien that I know, is that Tolkien never put anything into the Lord of the Rings that he didn't know the entire history of that animal. Like, seriously, I'm not even joking. He doesn't put anything in the book that he hasn't already mapped out. He is a complete and total geek. He had mapped out the history of every single living creature in Middle-earth before he even wrote The Hobbit. So
Goodness.
He seriously wrote like 2 or 3 languages for this.
Yeah,
So he was like
crazy.
an ultra geek.
Wait, okay, I'm always confused about this. Did he write The Hobbit first?
Yes, Hobbit came out in 1937. So the reason he took so long, Lord of the Rings came out in 54 and 55.
Oh, 55. Nice.
Yeah, and Matthew's a big Sky Ranch guy, so 1955 is when Sky Ranch was founded. So he was writing a lot of other stuff. Like I said, he was kind of filling in the backstory of Middle-earth.
Yeah.
And here he's writing the Silmarillion, which I've heard is
The Silmarillion?
the
I can't even
Silmarillion.
pronounce-
Yeah, I know, it's really, yeah. But I've heard it's, depending on who you talk to, really boring and really interesting. So, it's probably both.
Probably interesting for you, boring for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of boring for you, let's talk about Fellowship of the Ring, Part 2.
Yeah.
Or Book 2. Part 1 of Lord of the Rings. So, I have to say, in my opinion, Book 2 of Lord of the Rings is the best book of any of them.
Wait, but
What do you
this
have
is
to
the
say to
first
that?
one, right?
Nope, Matthew, remember, it's divided up into 2 books, right?
Wait, 2 books?
Remember Matthew?
Oh,
Each-
wait. I thought we
Remember
were just
halfway through the Fellowship of the Ring, there's the end of book 1, start of book 2.
So it's like 3 books that are technically all one book, but each of the part books that aren't actually a whole book are split up into 2 books?
You have it down pat.
That doesn't make any sense. Why are you still arguing that? Oh my goodness.
Anyway, what do you
This
think
is
about
ridiculous.
book 2 of part 1 of Lord of the Rings?
Book 2
Book 2 of part 1.
It was fine.
Yeah, was it? I think it's a significant upgrade from the first book.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide if I like this or The Hobbit better. Honestly, I think I like them about the same.
Yeah.
But actually, I might like this a little bit better.
Okay. So you're kind of on the uptick, huh?
Just because there's like... Wait, the second... I think it was the second book where he like actually saw Bilbo again, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Right at the
Then
beginning.
yeah, I liked the second book better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because... Like, I already know about Bilbo from the Hobbit book and the Hobbit movies. And, like, so I kind of, like... I know how to pronounce Bilbo's name. And that's the one character I kind of feel connected with. And Gandalf.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to see Gandalf again there. So, like, yeah, I probably like this one best. The second book of part 1 of Lord of the Rings is better than Hobbit and first book of part 1 of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting discussion to have to see if we like The Hobbit better or Lord of the Rings better.
Yeah.
Because I would say that as just a book, I think The Hobbit is better.
Mm-hmm.
But as
this is
a
a
fantasy
series.
novel, no, as a fantasy novel, I think
Oh.
Lord of the Rings is better. Just
What's
because
the difference?
well, as like a genre piece. The Hobbit is more of just kind of a kid's book, really. Just
Sure.
a fun action adventure kid's book. And Lord of the Rings is really some deep, nerdy goodness of fantasy.
True.
So, I think The Hobbit.
You're convincing
I enjoy
me. You're
reading them.
convincing me to go for Hobbit now.
Yeah, I know. The Hobbit is less boring. We can agree with that.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun too. But I don't know. Lord of the Rings, I still think is a masterpiece, and I still think as a genre piece, it's better.
I still think my favorite part of this whole book, as in like both books or whatever you want to say. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
when I
just
say
Fellowship.
book, I'm just gonna
Just
talk
say.
about Fellowship of the Rings.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
My favorite part is still when it like that little part where Gandalf was talking about what's his face that starts with an S became Gollum.
Smeagol.
Smeagol, yeah. I knew it started with an S.
In chapter 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite part. Just
Yeah,
because it's like
it's a fun part. I mean, I agree. I like hearing all the...
because like I already knew who Gollum was, and it was like so like 1,000 years ago he was this other guy with a fringe,
Right.
And it was
Yeah.
like it was pretty creepy and pretty good story.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like
it
I
is.
should tell that around the fire. I can't.
Oh, yeah. So, going off that, we kind of get another similar chapter to that in... I'm sorry, I'm going to do this again. Chapter 2 of Book 2, the Council of Elrond, where, like, Gandalf,
where they're at that elf
Elrond,
place?
Frodo... Right, yeah, they're telling
Yeah.
the entire story of the ring. I've always kind of liked that chapter, because just, like, for the same reasons, as you, like, kind of hearing the backstory, hearing the full story. So, what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, I agree. I just kind of liked it better the first time because it was like the first time I heard it.
Right, yeah.
But I guess it was the other guy telling it too that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah.
Honestly, I was reading this on like a Sunday afternoon, and so I didn't like it as much as I thought I would because I remember really liking this chapter.
Uh-huh.
So maybe it's just late Sunday afternoon. I was tired, but it went on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoyed it. So, Rivendell, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Really,
Okay.
Rivendell and Lauren, I've never liked as much as I thought I should have. But I'm
Really?
interested to hear your thoughts.
Okay, do you like the Rivendell elf palace or do you like the wood elf palace better?
Lorien?
Wait, that's what it's called?
Lothlorien, yeah.
When you said Lauren, that's what you meant?
Lorien, Lothlorien, yeah.
Lorien? Okay.
Yeah. You're making a mental note. But honestly, that's a good question. I think Rivendell I'll go with just because I guess I've seen it's more of a prevalent feature in the books.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I feel more familiar with it having seen the movies as well, even though they're pretty bad. So I guess I'll
Yeah.
go with Rivendell. I do think that Lorien is more mystical, which I could be talked into liking that more too as well.
Yeah. I think I like Rivendell better though because it's like kind of magical and it's really pretty scenery like on the movie.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's like and it's all outside. All the paths to get to the different places are all outside, and even the rooms have big pillars, and they're just kind of like they're open rooms, and it just looks like a really nice place. And there's like, isn't it like right on the water, but also on the mountains?
It's on the river.
Yeah.
river.
It's on the
Yeah.
oh duh, it's called Riverdale. Yeah, it's like on the river and on the mountains at the same time. Like that's
Yeah,
pretty
it
sick.
is. So what's interesting is reading this. We hear all the time about Tolkien describes things like a lot. What's interesting to me is reading these again. He didn't describe things as much as he described them, like walking and exposition and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he doesn't really give a complete description of Rivendell. He kind of gives.
Which kind of makes sense because what you were saying was like before he feels comfortable adding anything to his books, he has to completely think the whole history. So like, imagine how much work that would be for him to add like a rock.
Yeah.
Or for him to add like a snail.
Yeah.
Like anything, he has to think up the whole history. So probably wants to stay away from that.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because he gives more of a abstract definition of what it looks like. More of, nobody really ever wanted to leave and time passed. Like, nobody really knew.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Moria, you get some good descriptions of, like, the caverns and the bridges, but you don't really get a full thought-out world, which is really interesting. And I think it actually is better than if he had just been describing it completely. What do you think?
Wait, like you think that you're saying like
I'm saying that
him...
he leaves a lot to our imagination.
Oh.
In some places. And
yeah,
some places
well, I
he
think
doesn't.
I think that's good sometimes, but I think he should like still describe the world, kind of.
Yeah. And everybody likes to say if Tolkien just didn't, describe so darn much, then these books would be a lot better. What do you have to say to that, coming to this your first time?
Well, I think it's just like what he describes, I guess, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah. It's kind of like we don't need to know the grass is green.
Yeah, we assume that. Because, I don't know. Yeah, stuff like that. Like, obvious descriptions, I guess. But, like, if it's something complicated, then describe it. And I don't know, just balance it, I guess.
Yeah, balance it.
I don't really know how to say it, but, like, if I was writing a book, I feel like I would know how to balance it. Just from reading a lot of other books.
Sure. So one thing that also became very apparent reading this again was how good he is at, like, suspense and kind of leaving things on the knife's edge. Okay. Kind of from the moment they leave Rivendell until they're outside of Moria, there's this constant feeling of we're being watched, we need to go. Sorry. And Gandalf is, like, scared to go in Moria. And you're like, if Gandalf is scared to go in Moria and he's trying to avoid it, like, at all costs, then something has to be wrong with Moria.
Yeah,
something has to be.
Better be a scary place.
And then kind of like we talked about in the Hobbit episodes, he kind of, builds all the suspense, which he's really good at. And then at the very end, nothing really happens. Like Bilbo gets knocked out a second through the battle, and he kind of tells it back to us. So it's the same thing here. Like, he builds all the suspense, and then Gandalf fights the Balrog in, like, 2 minutes.
Wait, Balrog is the bear guy?
No, that's Bjorn. You're talking about Lord of the Rings, remember? He's the big flaming demon that Gandalf fights?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the names. And he also... Well, actually, I forgot what I was going to say about that. But, like, yeah, he cuts back from different, like, parts when he splits up characters. And will, like, leave the end of the chapter or end of that section, like, suspenseful.
Yeah.
I think that's what you just said, but...
Well, I'm saying he, like, builds up... Throughout these, we've been talking about all these chapters of Gandalf is scared. Gandalf notices that the Watcher, the like squid thing that attacked them right before they went to the Mines of Moria, it goes for Frodo first, right? And he's like getting, he's as freaked out as Gandalf could be, right? And then we meet the Balrog and he fights them for 2 pages, and then that's pretty much it. So like he's good at the suspense and not so much at the battle.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, and like with the battles and everything.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, it's a big build-up, but not a big battle.
Reading this for the first time, when in the scene where they're in like Balin's tomb, remember that scene?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember being
but he was one of the elves, or one of the dwarfs from the
Hobbit.
From the Hobbit. Yeah, that was weird.
It was just everything really creeped out.
I was pretty sure he was from the Hobbit, just because of the name Balin.
Yes. So when you were reading Moria. Do you think Tolkien described perfectly the feeling of darkness, despair, and kind of claustrophobia that they all felt? Could you feel that?
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. I could feel it.
So as far as like dark cave scenes that you've read in literature, how do you think this goes?
See, the first thing that came to mind, probably because it was the most recent one, was the Wingfeather Saga one in the last book, when like I already forgot their names, Janner and the wolf guy were Kalmar, whatever, you know what I'm saying. They were in the cave, and then it was like that whole thing about like Janner like thinking himself and like turning himself around. Like that was pretty powerful to me. Yeah. I really liked that scene, so I don't know if this can beat it. But like this one, I think is supposed to be more scarier than that one, and that one was like supposed to be scary, but it was like a guy who was overcoming his fear, and this one is like everything in this book is like all just leading you to the next book. So if like it's like one of those books, if the good guys lose, then it doesn't matter because there's 2 other books.
Right. Yeah. So actually, Wingfeather Saga has been made into an animated TV series, which is exciting. Yeah. So have you heard of Fit Angel? Sidebar here.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they kind of have their own like studio where they kind of produce things too. So they're going to partner with Andrew Peterson and his executive producer, and they're gonna kind of distribute it.
Cool.
Yeah, they made they helped make The Chosen, and so they're gonna help make the Wingfeather Saga.
Oh yeah, I knew they had something to do with The Chosen.
Yes.
Hold on. Is the new covers that they came out with just last year? Are those like the characters' looks for the series?
Not exactly. You can go
Really?
on YouTube and you can watch like an animated short they made. It's like 15 minutes
Okay.
of the Wing Feather Saga, and you can kind of get a grasp. But again, they said it was on a very limited budget, and so this time they'll have kind of a bigger budget, so the animation might
Yeah.
look a little different. But you can kind of get a
Okay.
feel for that. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyways,
about you?
yeah, off topic. Okay, I did have a question.
Yeah.
So, why did Bilbo go to Rivendell instead of going to like the mountain
Oh, no,
castle?
He did. He traveled there and then just came back to Rivendell to kind of retire after his last journey. Yeah, he went there.
Oh. But why didn't he
Yeah.
just stay there? That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, I don't know.
Like, because he already had all his friends there. Except for Balin, I guess, who had a grave now.
Yeah.
Or a tomb.
That's a good question. I guess he just thought Rivendell was more comfy and that they served better coffee. And, I guess he wanted to be a poet, so. Speaking of, can we all, I mean, the poetry, like, we don't need all this poetry.
Yeah.
Like, and all these songs. And so what drives me nuts is this time, it's like, Aragorn's, like, translating it from Elvish, and it rhymes in English. And you're like, not sure that that would have happened, man.
Yeah.
But, sure, you know. I mean, I do enjoy some of the poetry, but I don't need 2 pages worth of it.
Yeah, and like we were translating, I think we translated like in this Latin book that we've been doing for CC, we translated like a Latin poem at one point, and it like didn't rhyme in English. It was like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Yeah, that always drives me nuts. Yeah. And then Tolkien's like, and Aragorn's like, you know, just a simple rendition of it, and you're like, sure. But anyway, we don't need all that poetry. Sorry, Tolkien. Some of it's good though.
Man, how much work does this guy put into his books, writing poems? God.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Honestly, that's one of the things that I wish the movies had done a little more was actually, I know I just spent a couple of seconds beating down on the poetry, but I wish they could have made some more songs. I think that it would have been really interesting.
Well, yeah, because
Not
songs are
all of
good in movies. Yeah.
Right. Like, you know,
It was really good
agree.
when the dwarfs all sang that one, like in those really
Exactly.
deep voices.
The Misty
though.
Mountains.
I was like, dang. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I still need to watch
great.
the Lord of the Rings movies,
Yeah.
except I don't really want to waste like my whole life doing that.
Yeah, it's true. Can't believe it's 9 hours of your life, man.
Oh my
Just come over and we
goodness.
can watch the non-extended editions.
Okay.
But I wish that they could have included some more of the songs. I think it could have been really good if the good portions just taken out.
Sure, yeah.
So now we come to, Aragorn's the leader now. Fun times. And then we come to,
Aragorn. Wait.
tell me, you know who Aragorn is.
Oh, he's the elf guy leader
And
now?
that's Legolas. Aragorn's like the new king. He's the man who's in charge now. He's got the sword and yells Elendil a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now Legolas is in here, but he wasn't in The Hobbit, but he was in the Hobbit movies.
That's right.
Okay, so does, I know we're not supposed to be talking about the movies, but does
Right.
Orlando Bloom play him in the movies too?
He sure does.
Oh, yeah.
He looks a lot younger than he does in the Hobbit movies, I will tell you. Like,
Oh,
significantly younger.
wait, did they make the Lord of the Rings movies before they made the Hobbit movies?
Yeah, they did. They made
That's
Lord of
what
the
it
Rings
was.
around.
Oh, that's why I asked that earlier. I thought they released the books first and then like did
Right.
the Hobbit as a
I see.
prequel, but it was the movies.
Yes, it's the movies.
Okay, got it. Anyways,
Because Lord
go
of
to
the
your
Rings was,
question.
like, you know, big-
Aragorn or something.
Yeah. So, I think we talked about this again in our Hobbit episodes. Eventually, you kind of get tired of the same character type over and over again.
Okay.
Right? Like, Aragorn and Boromir, really, there's really no difference between them besides Aragorn yells at Elendil and says, I am the Isildur's heir a lot, and Boromir's just kind of the guy who looks at Frodo a lot. But besides that, even Legolas and Gimli, they don't have a lot of character development, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I know you're not
They-
far through
yeah.
Two Towers, but
Tolkien likes to kind of like focus on a few characters,
Yeah.
I think, and then not focus on like all the other supporting characters.
yeah. I mean, you get, like, some things, you know, like and yeah, you're not there yet, but in Two Towers, Legolas and Gimli play like a game, how many orcs they can kill.
Yeah.
You know, I think Isaiah's probably told you about that scene. But, and then you also get, just some other little quirks, but everybody gets their, like, one little thing. You know,
Mhm.
Gimli is, like, obsessed with Galadriel, who's, like, the lady of Lothlorien, you know?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like, threatens to kill anybody
Wait, is it?
who disagrees with him. And then, you know, what was it? Oh, yeah, Sam is, like, really loyal. and then Frodo has the ring, and then Merry and Pippin are just like troublemakers.
Okay,
Or
I'm gonna be
anything
honest
like
with Sam. Like when he first was like spying on Gandalf and Frodo, I totally thought he was gonna be a bad guy.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh no, Sam is the hero, man. Sam's a good
Well,
guy.
no, at the beginning, at
Yeah.
the beginning of the book when he was like spying on them, I was like, this guy's gonna be a bad guy.
Yeah. But the thing that Tolkien really doesn't succeed at is making all of these main characters be fleshed out, essentially. And
Yeah.
in Two Towers, you get a lot more of them with the Rohirrim, Riders of Rohan. Then you get some more in Gondor and Return of the King. And so it just keeps going on and on. So my question is, do you think that is a flaw of Tolkien's, or do you think that's just not something he wanted to spend his time on?
Both.
Hmm.
Because he didn't want to spend his time on it, so it is a flaw.
Ah.
But I was gonna say that like a lot of I think like supporting characters support the story better if like the decisions they make, like if they're faced with a decision, they choose like something that you could guess because you know their personality so well.
Right.
You know? And like Tolkien doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
Because you don't know their personality well enough. They're just gonna choose whatever supports the story at that point.
Yeah.
Not like whatever their character would actually choose, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I agree with you a little bit. I think that Tolkien doesn't do a lot of psychological development, but he does do some like action development, essentially.
Uh-huh.
You know, Aragorn. Some of my favorite Aragorn is in. Sorry, we're jumping ahead to Two Towers again, but right after the Fellowship of the Ring, Aragorn has to like lead the company now, when everything is It's just him, Legolas, and Gimli, and everybody else is kind of broken up. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to kind of make decisions on what to do. And so I really like that, where he's kind of deciding what to do, and it's kind of more some, character development by action. But I just wish that he could have gone, deeper into psychological stuff. We kind of talked about it with the dwarves. I mean, there's a lot of dwarves in the Hobbit movies. Or not the movies, the book. And we really can't separate one from the other besides their names. Right? You can fault
And I can't even do that.
Right, and you can fault the Hobbit movies for a lot of things, but you can't fault them for trying to add some little flavor to each of the dwarves, right?
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, like, I don't even know their names, so he didn't even, like, develop them enough to make any of them memorable, and I still understood the whole story without knowing a single dwarf's name, besides, like, Thorin.
Yeah, Tolkien isn't interested, like we said, in character development. He's interested in he's interested in really trying to get the backstory of Middle-earth through by telling the Lord of the Rings story. He's interested in the backstory of these characters, not necessarily the characters themselves. Which, do you think it's within Tolkien's power to develop these characters more, or do you think that he's just not that kind of guy?
I think it is, but I think he genuinely just doesn't care about that at all.
Right. So you think he could? He just...
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, this dude is... You would admit he's a writer. I mean, he describes well. I mean, he's got great dialogue, for heaven's sake. This dude is probably one of the best one-line writers I've seen.
You've said that in every single podcast episode.
I know, but that's because it's so great. He's so great at doing it. Like, there are so many posters or T-shirts or, things that you can make out of this, right? And, the Not All Who Wander Are Lost is, like, and every single...
Okay, I saw that on, like, a biker gang shirt the other day. Like, this old dude with, like, a beard and tattoos, and he was wearing that. I was like, that's a Hobbit quote.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, but yes. I guarantee that every store in a national park has something with Not All Who Wander Are Lost. And, like, every single mountain bike person who has a Jeep Wrangler or something like that has a Not All Who Wander Are Lost sign. Nobody can really tell you where it's from. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
But Tolkien is a really talented guy, and he really, when I read Lord of the Rings, sometimes I just get, like, this feeling of... Tolkien just brings the feeling of, like, wonder to the surface.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Even you would agree with that, right, Matthew?
I can't really relate, but sure.
And it's just... I don't know. But I just wish that he could have done so much more as well. I mean, I think it's a masterpiece. But I just wish that he could have done a little more, if you know what I mean. Okay, so me and Matthew were talking a little bit earlier about kind of wonder. So I really like this portion. I'm going to read it. They stooped over the dark water. At first they could see nothing, and slowly they saw forms of the encircling mountains mirrored in a profound blue, and the peaks were like plumes of white flame above them. Beyond there was a space of sky. There like jewels sunk in the deep shone glinting stars. Through the sunlight was in the sky above. Of their own stooping forms no shadow could be seen. "O Khaled Zeram, fair and wonderful," said Gimli. "There lies the crown of Dura until he wakes. Farewell." He bowed and turned away, and hastened back up to the greensward to the road again. "What did you see?" said Pippin to Sam, but Sam was too deep in thought to answer. So I just really like that section. It just was a beautiful description of, sometimes Tolkien, he does justice to his world, right? I mean, sometimes I think that Tolkien has made Middle-earth a more realistic world than our history of our world that we live in.
Wait,
right?
What is the bad guy's name? Like Sauron?
Sauron.
What if Tolkien
And
is
Sauron.
Sauron?
No, Tolkien's not Sauron.
Are you sure?
Yes. Why would you assume that?
I don't know. I just feel like he might be the bad guy.
You interrupted my thoughts.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought that was a really great portion to kind of describe how Tolkien does. I mean, and there's you have to understand, Tolkien, he's a great writer. He doesn't need a lot of drafts to kind of get, a masterpiece of a work.
Who's his editor?
But you can really tell. Yeah, I know, right? You can really tell that he does do some elbow grease in certain sections, and I think that was one of them, and it really, really shows.
Totally.
So, essentially, my thoughts on this are Tolkien is great, and I think he's capable of doing even more. And like Matthew said, who's his editor?
Sam, at the end of that section you read, was like too deep in thought to respond.
Yeah.
That sounds like me all the time.
Yeah, it does. It does. So emo locked in your brain. I'm kidding.
It's actually true, except for the emo part.
So let's briefly talk about the breaking of the company and Boromir and all that stuff. Were you kind of tracking what Boromir wanted to do?
Why don't you refresh?
Okay, so essentially, Boromir
Who's
wanted... Boromir's the guy from Gondor. He's the man besides Aragorn.
Beside him?
He blows the horn.
Oh, yeah, the horn guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And essentially, what he wanted was he wanted the ring to go to
Doesn't
Gondor
everyone?
to fight Sauron, right?
Okay.
But then Frodo knows in his mind that the ring has to be destroyed. It's the only way.
Yeah, because if he takes it to Sauron, then Sauron's just going to take it and then win.
Sauron's going to attack Gondor anyway, because that's what he thinks they're going to do. He thinks they're going to bring the ring to
yeah, exactly,
Gondor.
but they have to destroy the ring so Sauron can't get it, right?
Exactly. And so Sauron doesn't know they're going to do that. He thinks they're going to bring it to Gondor, which is what he would have done, essentially, what the book says.
Yes.
But then Boromir...
So he's like a
kind of
good
view the
guy
ring.
that's just confused.
Essentially, yes, you're right. He had noble intentions in the beginning, but then he wanted to take the ring from Frodo. Like the ring, you know how the ring is like possessive or whatever.
Yes.
Kind of Boromir was like corrupted by it, without even touching the ring, and he wanted the ring, and he kind of scared Frodo away, and so Frodo decided to go to Mordor alone by himself.
Uh-huh.
But Sam joined along, which is a great scene, and I think that scene is really the first time we really kind of start to get to love Sam. And then it kind of grows over the second half of Two Towers, and then Return of the King as well.
Right, because Frodo was just going to go by himself, but that Sam still went.
Right, exactly. It's kind of like that. Sorry, excuse me. Well, so we're recording this May 5th, and so yesterday was May the 4th.
Star Wars Day!
Exactly. May the 4th be with you. And so my sisters wanted to watch Episode 9, and so I was like, I don't really want to watch that, so you guys watch that. But I was waiting for me and my dad were going to go watch Tenet. And then the girls were watching Rise of Skywalker, and there's that part, remember, when Rey's like, I have to go alone. And then Finn's like, yeah, alone, with friends. And it's really stupid. But it's much better in Lord of the Rings when they do it, because it's more heartfelt and more
Ray, I
emotional.
have to tell you something. What was that you wanted to tell me?
Yeah, exactly.
What did he want to
Anyway.
tell her? I love you.
So I've heard rumors that apparently Finn is force sensitive. That's what I thought.
Oh, come on.
I mean, that's what I've heard. I don't know. I'm just stupid. We can roast that movie when we come to it.
I think he's
on
General
the screen.
Grievous.
He's not force sensitive, actually. Grievous.
I know, that's what I'm saying. He can use a lightsaber, but he's not force sensitive.
True. Anyway, Any final thoughts on Fellowship of the Ring before we go donor shoutouts?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I apologize for my weird, deep, groggy voice today.
Yeah, I think we're all having some allergies.
Yeah,
I am too.
It's just allergies. I don't have COVID, I think.
Yeah, relax, Karens. Anyway, so yeah, my final thoughts. Honestly, I thought it was gonna be my favorite one, and unless Two Towers, I'm halfway through Two Towers. Unless it's getting close, but I think it's still gonna be my favorite. I really enjoy it. I really love the Shire, and I think Tolkien is great. I think it's a masterpiece, but I still think he could have done a little better. But now, let's do some donor shoutouts, and the list is ever growing.
Ever growing,
isn't it, Matthew?
Oh yes,
it is ever growing.
Oh yes, I'm gonna have to actually pull out the list.
Yes, that's right.
That's
how
Matthew, lucky we are.
Since you can't keep track of characters, we're not gonna assign a character of Lord of the Rings to these people.
I could just make up a word. And it's probably a character.
That's a good point. But what we are going to do is
donor shoutouts.
I say the patron, and then you say which ethnicity of Middle Earth.
What the heck?
This person is from.
Wait, okay. Like an elf or like a dwarf or something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
That was so weird.
Yeah, I know. I didn't want to say race because I get canceled. But anyway, here we go.
Okay. Gosh.
Nana.
Hobbit.
Oh, that's nice. Vampapi and Wayla.
Wizards.
They'll like that. Wait, is Wayla a witch then? Or is she a she-wizard?
Whichever one doesn't offend her.
Okay. I don't think she listens anyway. So, Isaiah's grandparents.
They are not hobbits, dwarfs.
Okay. Isaiah's parents, Mr. Mike and Miss Laura.
Oh, they are the giant flying eagles.
Oh, that's good. Isaiah's Uncle Sebi.
Oh, he's the bear guy.
Beorn.
Beorn.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know, in the Lord of the Rings, they say, I've heard the term Beorlings, like Beorn's children. The Beorlings.
Beowulf?
So. No, Beorlings.
Oh.
You know, the guy's Beorn.
Mm-hmm.
His kids are the Beorlings.
That's
or whatever
weird.
it is. So if Uncle Sebi ever has kids, they can be the Beorlings. Anyway. And Ginny and Uncle
weird.
Sam. Isaiah's.
They are. Well, actually, I don't know them well enough to say they're bad guys. So they'll be also dwarfs.
Nice. And Isaiah's cousins, Moses and Zara. And you do know them well enough to assign them bad guys.
Yeah, they're bad guys. They're Sauron and Saruman.
Okay.
See, I just remembered two names. Are you impressed?
That's right.
It's because they're like the exact same, just with an M.
No, because I told you like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Then we have Christopher
Haggadon.
Chris.
The echoes. I'm not stalling to think of a name. Frodo.
He can be the Balrog then. Not Frodo?
Yeah.
And we have a new patron. Isn't that exciting?
It is. Why don't you announce her name?
Thank you so much for donating.
Yes. Thank you so much. I am thinking of a character currently, or an animal species. Cooper, why don't you take this one? I can't think of anyone else.
All right.
Oh, she can be Gandalf's girlfriend. Like,
Galadriel.
What's her name? Like
yes.
Yeah.
She's only his girlfriend in the movies.
Oh, okay.
But
well,
yeah, that's
yeah.
okay. I'm sure she'll like Galadriel. Anyway, Matthew, we always neglect to do this at the beginning. What would someone do if they wanted a donor shout-out?
Well, Cooper, they would go to patreon.com/bookinit and donate to any of our $5 and plus tiers.
That is correct. And we love our donors very much, and we give them shout-outs.
Yes.
Like this.
We very much appreciate
anyway, guys, we'll be back in 2 weeks with Two Towers Part 1, and I am assuming that all of us will be on. Can't make any confirmation, though, because, hey, the road to Mordor, one does not simply walk into Mordor, so you never know.
Is that a quote?
Movie, unfortunately, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, until next time.
Keep on booking it.